Well, hello, everybody. My name is Jason Hewlett. Thanks for joining me. It's been a long time since I have done a live stream of any kind on any platform. So I'm interested to even know if you can hear me. If you want to put in the comments, if you can. I didn't even test it out. I just had a minute now between some of these events I'm racing around the world doing, and I thought I'm going to try a live stream. It's been too long. I also include or encourage a lot of speakers to do live streams because I think it's helpful to learning how to speak and speak well. Today, I thought it would be fun to, kind of explore an idea that a lot of people wonder about. I get a lot of audiences that are not interested in listening or changing their mind. And so, as a speaker, I've had to figure out a couple of ways in order to affect the mindset of the audience. And I believe that every speaker has the opportunity to do that if they're persuasive and, they might have different styles. But the question really is, what would Jordan Peterson, Ronald Reagan, Mr. Rogers, Chris Rock, what do they all have in common? I mean, they all have the ability to do something extraordinary on stage. That's for sure, right? I mean, that's in their whole lifetimes, that's what they're known for. But what's interesting about it to me is that each of them have to decide for themselves which of the 5 B's they want to use. And so I'm going to teach you the 5 B's today of being the type of speaker that can affect the mindset of an audience. So, hey, it looks like I am connected though on this platform. I'm using StreamYard, which is cool. And I'm seeing from Facebook that someone's been able to say hello. I'm seeing Janet King from Michigan. Hi, Janet. Thank you for joining me here. And everyone else who's here, whether you're watching on a replay or whatever, I'd love for you to put it in the comments. But the 5 B's, if you want to guess what they are, go ahead and put them in the comments. And if they come through, I'll certainly read them. But let me start with this one. I mean, honestly, when a speaker is powerful, persuasive, engaging, they're compassionate, they give great stories and examples, those are awesome ways to be. Let's start with the first one. Let me see if I can pull up a banner here and show you what the first one is. Ready? Number one, be opinionated. Yeah. Have you ever thought about the favorite speakers that you've seen or heard? Usually they're pretty darn opinionated. And they're able to change the mind of an audience pretty quickly just by the things that they say or do. For example, there's a guy named Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson. He's obviously a huge star. I've been listening, in fact, to his book the last few days. The man's a genius, and I love his stuff. Also, he's very opinionated. I mean, whether it's the men and women issue that's been something for a while now, or just saying what he believes. A lot of people think that if you are opinionated, you're going to be canceled. And so a lot of people don't say anything at all. But the people that make the most difference are the ones that are opinionated enough to say it. There's another guy, Gary Vee, if you're familiar with Gary Vee, if you're on social media, which that's where we're watching from right now, I'm imagining. So, he talks about 20-year-olds trying to have everything figured out by now. And he's very opinionated about that, saying, hey, you need to just try everything, risk a lot, go for it. Don't think you have to have it all figured out right now. So what's interesting about Dr. Jordan Peterson and Gary Vee, because they're so opinionated, they also have to express themselves extremely articulately. And because they're so articulate, we listen, but also because they're so opinionated. I think that's a big part of it. Hey, it looks like we've got Dusty from Encinitas, California. Hi, Dusty. Thanks for joining me here. And so, be opinionated is the first one. If you agree, put it in the comments. If you think I want you to maybe even just guess some of the ones that I haven't said yet, but we'll get to them. So let's go to then the second one. Second one is be controversial. Yeah, that's even different than be opinionated. And here's why, because being controversial is something that a lot of people even build a campaign upon. For example, President Donald Trump, when he ran, he was like calling people a liar from the stage. I mean, it was crazy if you watched him because you're sitting there thinking, what is this guy doing? But at the same time, there were people that showed up at his events and they would listen to him. And because he was controversial and probably saying things that they agreed with but would never say, they maybe swayed their vote. Obviously, then there were other ways where he would be controversial and people would go the opposite route and say, okay, I can't stand this guy. And so taking a risk is important. To be controversial is helpful in many ways. In fact, I like to do this one thing that's not crazily controversial, but it is something that a lot of CEOs and founders of companies have told me. When I get on stage, it challenges what I've just said or what they've just said. For example, they'll be talking about setting goals and hitting goals and meeting goals. And I stand up and I just say, hey, I admire everything about your founder and the speaker before me, but why set a goal when you can make a promise? And that's not to say goals aren't important, but if you make a promise and you break it, that's a big problem. And so I go into almost a controversial feature with that quote. And then it gets people thinking, and it's a little bit controversial, and it seems to be able to do the job. So be controversial. That's another one to affect the audience mindset. In fact, it gets them to a place of thinking to themselves, yeah, I think I think I can be a little more controversial with the things that I say. How about this one? Be conversational. Okay, let's talk about one of my favorite examples of all time, Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers was absolutely conversational in all the things that he did. And what was interesting, there's a video of him in front of the the government, and they were trying to figure out how to make it so that they didn't have to give money to public television. Uh, Mr. Rogers is such a genius because he was so conversational. He started talking to the senatorial committee as if they were all children, but not in a demeaning way, in a way that he cared. And he talked about why it mattered that they allow for this funding to come through. He was so conversational. In fact, they didn't feel any kind of accusation or controversy or anything about him. And so they awarded the money and they put it towards public television. That's the power of being conversational. And so if these are resonating with you, I want you to put a thumbs up if you will. That'd be awesome. And or if you want to do a comment, that'd be great. Looks like Janet says she's sharing. Thank you for sharing this. All right. Let's try the next one. We've talked be opinionated, be controversial, be conversational. Let's talk about the fourth B. Be engaging. Oh yeah. Being engaging is so powerful because obviously everybody likes to feel like they're engaged with that speaker. There could be opportunities where you're on stage and you're thinking, I could just be up here, do whatever, and nobody cares. But when you're extra engaging with the audience, they will come along with you. It's an interesting thing. For example, when Ronald Reagan was the president, and then he's running again, for a second term, there was an issue that was brought up in the media and in politics that he was too old. That age was this issue. Now, Ronald Reagan was a genius when it came to engaging the audience, making people laugh. And there were people that watched him thinking, he's too old to be the president for a second term. We can't allow this to happen. And so here's what Ronald Reagan did. The brilliance of Reagan. His opponent's entire campaign seemed to be built around Reagan's old age. And so Reagan flipped it to say, hey, look, I don't want to talk about your, youth and inexperience. And this is how he said it. He said, I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I'm not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience, which got a huge laugh from the audience and an even bigger laugh from the opponent. I love that he was willing to go there with his opponent. That's called be engaging. So we've talked. Number one, be opinionated. Number two, be controversial. Number three, be conversational. Number four, be engaging. What's the fifth one? Obviously, there's plenty that I've missed here. If I've missed them, please put them in the comments. That would be helpful to me for future ones. But the fifth one I would say is be persuasive. Yes, persuasiveness is a power and it's stepping out on a limb in a lot of ways. But to be able to shift the audience's mindset towards you and to what they're thinking is a real power that comedians have. Now, there's a guy named Chris Rock, one of my favorites. Highly not appropriate for work if you're going to watch one of his clips today. But I'll tell you, the guy is absolutely brilliant and for many reasons. But here's one of my favorites. So he does this routine where or like, for example, if I were to ask you, do you think that bullying in school is appropriate? I mean, I think most people would be like, that is a bad news. Get my kid out of that school or get things fixed with the bullying. So here's Chris Rock's perspective on it. Chris Rock is like, hey, look, I think bullying is the best thing that could ever happen for my kid. Because if they're going to be bullied by somebody in second grade or fifth grade right now, they're going to learn how to stand up for themselves. They're going to learn how to deal with future bosses, managers, employees, even partners, spouses. People are going to run into. The whole world is a bully when you become an adult. So why not learn it in school? Now, as you watch that clip, I don't have a link to it, but it is colorful. And here's the thing, the language he uses is strong, but I think it's powerful in persuading the concept in even my own mind, where I was like, at first I thought bullying is absolutely a no-no all the time. And then he persuaded me to think differently. That's the power of a great comedian to be able to make you go, oh my gosh, I guess bullying is a good idea in school, because we're all going to have bullies. I mean, hey, I even have bullies when I do a speech or a show. People might boo, or they might walk out, or they might say something mean after. There are bullies on YouTube with the comments. Oh my gosh. There's bullies on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, you name it. And so I think that Chris Rock really nailed it with that idea. So I hope that for yourself, what are some of the B's that maybe I have missed here? Let's do them one more time. Be opinionated, be controversial, be conversational, be engaging, and be persuasive. So what did I miss? I'd love for you to put it in the comments, and I'd love to keep the conversation going. I like doing these live streams. This is unique for me and it's fun. I'm usually in front of a lot of people, or I'm doing a virtual event, which is cool too. But it's nice to be able to say hello today and say it's great to be able to connect with you here. I see now Megan from Bomb Party. Hey, oh, that was one of my favorite events for sure. Bomb Party, that was a wild group, and we had so much fun in Alabama a couple of months ago. I love performing and speaking for these groups, because when they're engaged and they're ready to learn, what's interesting is I only really had to be engaging for them because they were ready to roll. They were ready in their mindset. But as a speaker, a lot of times I have to really shift the mindset of the audience by being one of these five. And I choose mostly to be engaging because that's most fun. So yes, Montgomery, Alabama, there it was. Thank you, Megan. So I was only able, it looks like, connect through Facebook on this. If there's anyone watching on LinkedIn and I didn't shout out your comment or something, I do apologize for that. But hey, it looks like I can even show who's saying hello on here. Look at this. There's Dusty from Encinitas. There's Janet. Hi, Janet from Michigan. Let's see. Here's Megan. Okay. And it looks like, hey, we even have Zach here today. Thanks, Zach, for joining me as well. So what I'd love for you to do, if you would be to check out my new YouTube channel. In fact, I've created a channel based around the ability for leaders to communicate better. I call it your leadership promise. Everybody wants to become a better speaker. We want to affect the mindset of our audience and the people that are listening to us. Hey, Louise from YouTube, man. Okay, that's cool. YouTube's connected to this too. That's awesome. I tried to connect this to a bunch of different platforms, didn't know who was coming. So I have multiple YouTube channels, and I've channels with 500 videos or more of me just performing and speaking and such. But I've created a new channel that I'd love for you to go check out if you want to be one of the first subscribers. Actually, it's a brand new channel. I'm starting to do these educational concepts and videos where it teaches you how to be a better speaker, the best way to use your voice or to save it if you're a singer, the best way to get gigs if you're a performer, even if you're in a band and a showman, is speaking a hard or a soft skill. There's lots of videos we're making there. They're longer form, about 10 minutes long. So it's a unique channel. It's brand new. I only have, right now I'm looking at it, I have 94 subscribers as of today, and we've loaded 10 videos over the last week and a half. And so we'll be loading new videos multiple times throughout the week. I'd love to see if I can even get to 100 subscribers. That would be awesome. And so I appreciate your support there. Go check out my YouTube channel. It's a weird address at Jason Hewlett XX3JR. Don't know why we chose that, but that's what we got. I just appreciate you guys being here with me today with the 5 B's of how the speaker affects the mindset of the audience. I hope that those were helpful for you. And I hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for joining me. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks.